Hi guys, because we compare a lot of cameras on this channel, well I compare, I don't have anyone with me. People don't want to be around me, but because I compare a lot of cameras, some people have asked me what are the black and white differences between the Canon R7 and the newly released Sony FX30. So we're going to talk about that today. And this is Gatorade. Not sponsored, by the way, but hey Gatorade, get in touch. Put my Gatorade in a glass because I am classy. Now, full disclosure, this is a spec comparison video. I do have a lot of experience with the Canon R7. I used it for over a month here in the studio, and also I have used pretty much every Sony camera that has come out recently. This is the A7 IV over here. This is the little ZV-E10. I have an A7 III. I have a bunch of Sony cameras. I also have a bunch of Canon cameras, so I know the systems quite well. I have used the R7 and I know what the FX30 is going to bring. I have also ordered the FX30, so if you want to see that camera compared to a million other cameras with the real footages side by side, then subscribe for that. But this one here is to help people see the differences between the two cameras, because people have been asking. Like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson says, give the people what they want. He and I are so similar. So right off the hop, I will tell you these are very different cameras. The R7 is targeted towards more of a hybrid shooter, and I would say skewed toward photography, in fact, whereas the FX30 is like, photography? What is that? I mean, it can take a picture. It doesn't have a mechanical shutter, but it has electronic shutter, and it can take a picture, but that is about all that it can do. It doesn't have the burst rates. It doesn't have a bunch of the photo features that you would want in a photo camera. It is a video camera. And although different, like me and The Rock, they do share plenty of similarities. Like they can both shoot 10-bit 422. Now in Canon, it does it in HDR and C-Log3, but that is really all you would ever go into for the 10-bit modes. You generally don't shoot 10-bit modes in standard profiles. Sure, it'd be nice if it had it, but really, I'm not going to take a point off for that. It's got the 10-bit 422 in C-Log3, which is the most important mode to have it in. On that camera anyway, because it can't do C-Log2. You can only do the C-Log3, but that is still good. They both have 2 card slots, so you can do redundant recording. So if you're doing professional work, these two cameras will work for you. They both have great LCD screens. 360-degree fully articulating screen. They both have mic jacks and headphone jacks. They both have APS-C size sensors. They are both weather sealed, and they both have unlimited recording in all of the video modes, and there is also no overheating in moderate temperatures. The FX30 is going to be better at the overheating because it has a fan, but it is very difficult to get the R7 to overheat. I had it running in moderate temperatures for over 2 hours and a half, over 2 hours and 30 minutes, and it was just running, and the warning light didn't even get halfway up. So the R7, I think, is going to be great for you in terms of not overheating. And they both have pretty good IBIS with e-stabilization that you can stick on top of it. So if you're walking around doing handheld video work, then it works out pretty well. Now let's talk about the advantages the FX30 has over the R7, and these are going to all be in video. So it can shoot the 10-bit 422 4K, but it can shoot it up to 4K 60, keeping the same field of view. It has a 1.04 times crop, so you're not really going to notice that. So you, if you are switching from 24p to 60p in 4K, then your field of view is going to stay the same, which is really great. On the Canon, it does a massive 1.6 times crop in 4K 60. Now, the FX30 does have a 1.6 times crop mode, but that is for 4K 120. And since it's doing a 1-to-1 pixel readout, basically, it's still going to be a very sharp 4K. So the 4K 120 you'll be able to mix in with your regular 4K footage. So that is a really great thing to have, and one of the main reasons that I pre-ordered the FX30. I don't have any cameras that can shoot 4K 120 in any way. Well, except like GoPros and stuff like that, but right. 16-bit linear raw output. The FX30, if you go out to an external monitor like the Ninja 5 that I have here, then you can get 16-bit linear raw and play with those raw files and do what you want with the white balance. And a lot of videographers, this is an essential thing for them, and now they have that at an $1,800 price point, and that makes a lot of people excited, me included. And even if you don't output to RAW, the internal codecs on the FX30 are much better than the Canon R7. You have all-eye codecs, very high data rates and all-eye frames, so if you're shooting very fast motion, you know, wind blowing in the trees, the race cars and the whatever, and also it's usually easier to edit depending on your computer, so the all-eye codec is really great to have for videographers. It has the Cine EI menu, which is great when you are on set. You have that quick cinema menu that they use in their cinema cameras that make it very functional when you're trying to shoot video in the moment, in the field, and I really, really like that menu, and I can't wait to use it. Now, see, Canon, they have an R5C where you can switch from a photo mode to their cinema line mode in terms of the menus, and it's so great to use. I had such a great time with the R5C because I was able to just switch it over to the Canon cinema menu, and that made my shooting of my dumb comedy documentaries, it made it so good. So the R7, of course, has nothing like that. FX30 has dual base ISO, so you can do 800 or 2500. You need a little bit extra light, you go up to that 2500, you're golden. You can do custom LUTs on the FX30, and that is something I like very much, because I like to use the Paul Leeming LUT to try to correct my footage so I have the most accurate colors, and then I color grade after that, and I find the Leeming LUT helps me expose quickly, and I always know what I'm going to get. It's very consistent for me, and since I use different camera brands, I use the Leeming LUT across those camera brands, so I love it when a camera gives me the ability to load in a custom LUT so I can see on the LCD what my final image is roughly going to look like. The R7, you can't do anything like that. You can use the C-Log Assist, that gives you more contrast and is a better looking image to look at, but you can't actually load in the specific LUT that you are looking for. The rolling shutter. The rolling shutter on the R7 is not great, and on the FX30, while not perfect in all of the tests that I have watched, the rolling shutter is definitely better than the Canon R7. So if you're doing a lot of whips and pans, then the FX30 is going to be better for you than the R7. The FX30 will also play a lot better with external menus. With the Canon, the screen will go black on your Canon screen, the LCD, if you are hooked up to an external monitor, so you can't use that lovely touchscreen for the Canon. Now with the Canon, you can output only to HDMI, but then you lose your internal recording, but at least it lets you keep your menu on your screen, and then you can still see your image that you are now recording through your external recorder or streaming. With the FX30, you're going to be able to see your menu, and you're going to be able to see your image. Now, it does have that Sony quirk that if you output your menu to your external monitor, if you want to use your menu on your external monitor, then it will go black on the LCD screen, which is annoying, and I wish they had some way to fix that. But in general use, the way I use external monitors, at least the FX30 is going to give me all of the functions that I actually use. And speaking of external monitors, the FX30 has the full-size HDMI port, whereas the Canon R7, it does not, because for some reason they don't want to put those in the Canon cameras. Even the R5C that I was using, which is definitely a cinema camera, just micro HDMI port. It is very annoying. They're hard to use. They break all the time. Canon, please put in the full-size HDMI. The FX30 has 2 card slots, but both those card slots take CF Express cards and also regular SD cards. Love that implementation by Sony. So not only can you record those high data rates with those robust codecs, then you also, your data transfer going to your computer is going to be much faster if you're using the CF Express cards. FX30 has the ability to have timecode in. If you get a cable adapter, you can just stick timecode in into the FX30, and that's essential for a lot of videographers. Ergonomics. Now this one's a tricky one because for video the ergonomics are better on the FX30, but for photo the ergonomics are better on the Canon R7. So I'll just write for video, better ergonomics for the FX30 because its button layout is better, more video focused, the way it's laid out, the way it's labeled, and also all of the tally lights and the indicators that the screen is on and you are recording. Those are all great. Those quarter 20 threads that are all around the FX30, so you don't need a cage to rig up extra gear to the camera, you can keep it nice and minimal. And the FX30 also comes with that optional top handle, which is not only great because you can plug in XLR ports to it, but it's a handle that can help you carry around your rig and steady it in a professional environment. Now the R7 does have an XLR input that you can buy for the hot shoe, but it doesn't come with the top handle. Lens selection. I will talk about this at the end of the video, but suffice it to say, I think that Sony has better options when it comes to lenses. We'll get to that later. And now let's talk about the advantages for the Canon, and these are photo advantages for sure. It has a 33 megapixel sensor, so that will be great for taking photos with higher resolution if you want to crop in, or if you want to print really large. Great to have those 33 megapixels. It has a 2.36 million dot EVF. So, you know, the electronic viewfinder, the thing you look through. So when it comes to photography, that is an essential for many, many photographers. So if you want to take a lot of photos, to be able to look through an EVF instead of staring at the screen, you know, it's just, it's a lot better. It's also helpful in video sometimes. It has 15 frames per second in mechanical shutter. That is a crazy fast burst rate. So if you want to take pictures of wildlife, sports, I mean, the FX30 does 1 frame at a time. This does 15 frames in mechanical shutter, and the FX30 is only electronic shutter. So you still might get some rolling shutter on the FX30. And as I alluded to before, it has better ergonomics for photos. The buttons and everything is laid out in a way that you would expect for a photography camera. So for you photo guys out there, the R7 is going to be far, far more appealing. The price, the Canon R7 is $1,500 US, which is $300 cheaper than the FX30 at $1,800. Now, when I talk about lenses, that gets a little more tricky, so let's talk about that now. So it's no secret, as of October 14th, 2022, Canon is not letting third-party manufacturers make any lenses for their RF mount, which I think is really too bad, but that is their choice. It's their prerogative. They can do what they want. So you can buy the full frame RF lenses, and some of those are quite expensive. There are cheaper RF lenses, but of course the quality is not as good as those fancy RF L series lenses. And what a lot of people are doing is buying a Canon adapter or a Canon focal reducer, a speed booster, and using the EF glass. So your results may vary of you know, how the EF glass performs on your Canon R7, but a lot of people are really enjoying the results that they get. So as long as you're aware that getting lenses is, you're probably going to go down the adapting route for EF glass to your Canon R7, just know that ahead of time. Now, the Sony already has a ridiculously diverse ecosystem of lenses, not only for their own APS-C lenses and full-frame lenses for E-mount, but your Viltroxes, your Sigmas, your Tamrons, your TT Artisans. There's just so many lenses available for the Sony system that you can buy really affordable lenses with extremely high quality, like the Sigma 16mm f1.4. That thing is like $350 new, and its quality competes with my G Master lenses. It is such a great value. There's a lot of, that's what I meant about the price, you know, whereas the FX30 might be $300 more. When you factor in the lenses, you might end up getting a cheaper overall package with the FX30. So there's the black and white. If you're a Canon shooter, you have Canon lenses, Canon cinema cameras, the R7 is a no-brainer. Get yourself a second angle, or if you want to get into photography and you really want to go into the Canon system, there you go, R7. FX30 is just a beast of a video camera that is really exciting for a lot of us content creators that want to do a little more than just your standard YouTube nonsense like I do. I do a little bit of stuff, documentaries, and that's also nonsense, but it's nice to have things like the raw output and the 4K 120, and oh, it's an exciting time. It's great when all the manufacturers push each other to try to do better and better products, so people like us benefit, and we don't have to film things on our phones. So there you go. You know what? I saw The Rock at the Leafs game last night, so I think he's here in Toronto filming something. I better go down to the gym, you know, give him a few pointers, get some Gatorade in him. Guy's pretty lazy, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.